All right. Welcome everyone to the show. Today we've got Gary Sillman, field representative at Global F&I Solutions. He's been in the automotive space and industry game and insurance game for 40 years, helping dealerships evolve with compliant, digital-first systems that actually boost revenue. I've been really interested in how dealers can modernize their backend and consumers experience. So I'm really excited to dive into Gary's business journey and see how he's doing it at scale. Gary, how are you today?
I'm good. Nice to be with you, Andrew. Appreciate everything.
Awesome, of course. Well, Gary, I know you've been in this space for a long time. Can you walk me through how you got started in the F&I world?
Everybody goes through this question, and a lot of guys and gals say, they fell into it. 40 years ago, I was the same. I started selling cars, saw that there was a way to make some extra revenue, and I kind of started learning about F&I in the dealership, and saw that that was the place that I wanted to spend some time. The F&I office, is an integral part of the dealership, and we've gone through some massive changes over the last 40 years.
Awesome, man. And what made you really zero in specifically on the F&I? What kind of stood out to you
I
on that
think
side of dealership operations?
with F&I, I will always say there's two things that you need to have together. You need to build trust, and you need to have a process. And F&I is a process. And done correctly, dealers can do very well. And so I think that what I've always navigated to is I like control. And as an F&I manager, you can control what's going on your own showroom. So I would say for the last 40 years, I've been a student of the F&I process because it is changing. It has changed. It's going through more changes. So this topic is top of mind. There's a lot of moving pieces right now, but I've been in it for 40 years, and I'm just very passionate about helping people have a process. And once they see the process utilized properly, they have success. So those are the joy and the wins when you can finally do it. Unfortunately, we still have a lot of people that still don't want to do it the right way. But that's why they have people like me around.
Awesome. And then you know how to do things the right way, obviously. Let's talk about your approach because there are a lot of consultants and solutions in this space. So what is it about your approach that has helped you keep in touch with all the moving pieces in the industry and that makes global F&I different?
You do it right the first time. And by doing it right the first time, you get the pain out of it early, as opposed to a lot of people don't want to change, and they're comfortable in their own ways. But there needs to be a process that everybody can learn from, and one process done correctly builds the trust everywhere, builds the trust with the consumer. It builds the trust with the finance manager and the salespeople. And when it's not, and when it's chaotic, which we've been watching for a long time, it is chaotic. It is a problem, and people are getting hurt. And some people are being taken advantage of. Some people may have been able to get a better interest rate, but because of the processes not being done, things happen to fall apart. And then the lack of confidence and the lack of trust jumps real quick because everybody wants to blame a dealer for something. They all think that everyone does it wrong, but that's why dealerships today need to embrace the digital compliance program because the customers are demanding it, and the government, quite frankly, is tired of policing it. And so that's where I would say trust and process are two of the things that I always am trying to help the dealer build so their customers and their clients trust them that they're doing it correctly. So that's what I would say would be a couple of things that stand I'm different at.
Great. And so when you are building this trust and compliance and helping them put together the right processes, why, I'm sure a lot of other people do that as well. Why should we work with you over some of the other options?
Last 40 years, we have been working in the F&I departments. Over the years, I've worked with some very, very smart people, and we've created processes that are technology driven because you utilize a menu. And these processes that we've been teaching for over 20 years allows the dealer to sell all the F&I products and negotiate with the consumer in secure databases. And by having all that and having the streamlined process, the dealer can sell more products. The consumers are much happier because they're involved. And a lot of times what happens is consumers are not involved and they're being pitched or they're being shoved products. And the reality is that this department is supposed to aid and be a consultant to the consumer to help them with their transportation needs. And the F&I office in the dealership is traditionally the heartbeat of the store. And if you have the wrong mentality in there and they're in there to just create gross profit, they're going to hurt a lot of customers. But if you have a finance manager that has compassion and that listens to the consumer and listens to their unique situation and tailors products and helps the customer understand the products and tailored to meet their own financial needs. That's what we're working on today, because for years the F&I manager was just trained to sell and sell and sell regardless.
Right. So you build relationships and you really customize to your client's needs.
It's really what we referred to as years ago. I was trained on at Universal Underwriters, and we would go in and do a blueprint. And the blueprint is exactly what it is. What are you doing? How are you doing it? Why are you doing it that way? And we look and we observe and see and find out how they're operating today. And unfortunately, most of these independent stores, they're missing unique software to close their compliant gap. And until I know what services they have or what's streamlined, it's very hard for me to make recommendations. But once we understand, we have wonderful partners that have software that help in the process. And what these processes do is we have verification tools utilizing today's technology to verify the identity of the consumer. There's technology out there in appraising trade vehicles. So the cell phone in the consumer is becoming the most important piece to purchase a new car today, regardless whether it's pre-owned or whether it's new. The cell phone is the way that you can communicate with the dealer, and the dealer should have all the software tools to accept that information so they can build deals online. So technology is showing very, very important pieces in today in how dealers can learn how to be compliant and use the digital technology that's not as hard as everyone thinks it is. So that's a big transfer. We're seeing a ton of that changing right now. And it's great because I continue to work with smart people and they build programs that aid in the dealer's operation. And it's all done through technology. It's all done through affordable channels. So dealers can use these systems and not worry about the expense of these systems and do their F&I compliance now using AI technology. And so we're going into this, We're marching into this, and that's all that we're talking about. You can do a deal from the comfort of your own den on your cell phone and then walk into the dealership and they'll hand you the keys. And then you don't
Yeah.
have all the aggravation that goes on in between all the middle.
Awesome. Well, tell me about these processes for a second, because it seems like they make everything so easy, but are they easy to implement for the dealers?
Well, uh, they're easy to implement if you have a dealer that's willing to change their processes and their general manager is on board. If you think that you're just going to go on the showroom floor and teach the salespeople how to do it, it doesn't happen. The owner, the general manager needs to have buy-in that these processes are embedded. And one of the things that we talk about, I have a product today called Gather Technology. It's a technology, it's a little chipmunk. And Gus is our gatherer. And so Gus is our we everything talks about Gus. I talk in all of my posts of that verify the customer first. And for years, dealers never wanted to do any of this. They wanted to do it after. Well, now, if you don't verify the identity of the customer up front, you fall prey to identity theft. A customer could have stolen somebody's information, made fake identity cards. So Gather takes 3 photos, takes a selfie of the customer. The customer takes a picture of their driver's license and their insurance card, and it goes through our system in less than a minute. We verify the individual using biometrics. We verify that they have insurance, auto insurance. So whether they have it or not, because you have to verify that you have auto insurance. Dealers have been doing it at the end of the deal, at the post end of the deal. Well, the fraud is already out there. So this is
Right.
why you have to do everything up front. Gather Technology does that. And we've made the price. It's $99 a month and $2.07 per deal. The dealer can utilize our system. And it's what we refer to as a no-brainer. But in the auto industry, this becomes like, we can't do that. Why can we do that? And we're poised to grow and teach the dealer that Gather Technology is your best friend, because
Right.
Gus does all the heavy lifting. And there's so many laws now today about compliance, where when the salesperson sold the car and they're in the F&I office and the F&I manager is discussing all of the menus and the payments, well, legally, you can't call that insurance agent anymore. This is personal information. So since you can't call, our technology will do it right after the transaction. That's the third piece of our tool. We verified the identity. We verified their auto insurance. Now they purchased a new car and they possibly have a lien. So now the finance manager can make sure that the insurance company has the lien and they have all the data from the new vehicle and they can transfer it with a click of the mouse. So 3 clicks on Gather Technology is a solution that every dealer today should have. And they all will come up with excuses. They'll all come up with, we do it. They all do it too late. The fraud's already done. If you don't do it up front, now you're wasting your time and now you're chasing. So the industry does some dumb things, and they get things entrenched in their head, and then they don't know how to change. And you got guys like me and a whole bunch of other guys that saying, you know what, you're not doing it right, and you should do it right. And here, now we even built you programs that all you need to do is implement them, and then you'll save yourself thousands of dollars. You'll earn more money. You'll set much happier customers, but they still like to do the old school method, and that's nothing but problems. And that'll be and the attorney generals And the lawyers and the lawsuits are going to be out of hand because you can't do it the way that they've been doing it. COVID opened up a can of worms, showing the dealers that there's some good ones and there's plenty of bad ones, and no one likes to play by the rules. And now everybody's buckling down because the AGs in the local states are not going to tolerate this behavior anymore because it's bad.
Right. And you've been able to make it so easy that it shouldn't even be a question. 3 clicks
Three
and
clicks that, I mean, it's utilizing, utilizing today. AI just teaches us how to do things better. And there, but you have the automobile industry, and there's usually 50% of the automobile industry says no from the beginning, and they'll continue to say no, and they'll do it until they get burned or they get caught or and then they're going to want to do it. But that's where we're living right now. There's a bunch of people that we refer to them as the ostrich theory, is their heads in the sand and they expect different results. And it just doesn't work that way.
yeah, it's not gonna work like that. And how much did you say that was again?
On what respect?
The one you were saying, I think it was $99 a month.
Oh, the Gather
The
technology,
other technology.
$99 a month to use our software. And then if they sell 100 cars, it's 100 cars times $2.07. You would think that would be a no-brainer. And
It
we're
is.
actually on Friday, I'm picking up 25 tablets, and we're going to give the 25 tablets to some decent dealers that I know, and we're going to let them test drive it, and we're going to let them see what they like and what they don't like. And so we're going to get some real data of, how it's used. We had, they signed up. This was, I handle New England, but
Hmm.
they had a dealer in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. The what's the name of the group? I'm running a blank, but they caught a woman trying to buy like an $80,000 BMW Autobahn. There's a dealership called the Autobahn. Went into the BMW store and they actually caught her finally. They got the police involved, and so Gather Technology was able to help stop fraud. And that's the whole point, is that
Yeah.
synthetic identity theft is rampant in the auto industry right now, to a tune of $9 billion of lending write-off. The banks are getting beat. Everybody's getting beat. And it's going to get cracked down, and Gather Technology meets the needs for there. So $99, $2.07 a month deal. I have my office manager, Maureen, can sign up dealers. I mean, it's the simplest sign up. And I'm going to be around next week. So Stanford, one of the owners lives in Stanford, so I'm picking up 25 tablets, and then I got 4 or 5 dealers in Stanford that I'm going to be delivering to: the Stanford Hyundai, Stanford Honda, Kia of Stanford. And then I have 20 others that I'm going to bring to dealers so they can test drive it. So that is a big push right now that I'm doing. That's one of my projects.
So it's only $99 a month. It saves them so much hassle. And then a fee of only $2 per deal, per car sold. So where can people buy this?
Well, they can't get it anywhere. We're the only ones that provide it. And then on top of it, when a customer doesn't have any insurance and they need to get it, they can't take the car without proper insurance. We have a program called On Demand. And for $299, the dealer can buy a 6-month policy that lets their consumer take delivery of the car. But the consumer now has to pay $30 a day until they get full insurance coverage. So it's utilized like on a Saturday or a Sunday or late night when no one has any insurance, no one's available. Gather, we set the dealership up. They can have a kiosk in their showroom. They can do it off of their computer, and they'll be able to do it off of this tablet as well. So Gather provides multiple in the service drive. Dealers lend out rentals. Do you know how many lawsuits there are of rentals that have been damaged that dealers gave to the consumer took it, damaged it, and now the dealer can't get reimbursed because the consumer said, we don't have any insurance. So we have a
Right.
loaner insurance policy. You know, most people think that insurance is second nature and that as long as you have that card, you have to pay the bill. If you stop paying the bill, that card's invalid.
Right.
There's statistics that 13% of the people today don't have automobile insurance coverage and they're driving around cars.
Crazy.
So,
Well, let's shift gears just a little bit here.
okay.
Let's talk about some of your goals. From your side, what are the biggest moves that you're trying to make in the next year or two with Global F&I?
It's really a combination of everything we've been talking about. It's embracing the cell phone, embracing the technology. The technology with the cell phone is we can take pictures of auto collisions and get estimates in less than a minute. We can verify we can verify people's identity and their insurance in less than a minute. I mean, the technology is here right now. And so my vision is trying to get as many dealerships as possible, utilizing their salespeople, teaching the salespeople to teach the customer how they can buy their cars on their cell phones. And
Mhm.
so that will enable me to have compliant dealerships. Because if you're doing it right the first time, customer comes in, wants to buy a brand new Honda. Give them a price on the brand new Honda. Okay, now I want to finance it. Okay, well, let us come up with, fill out all the paperwork. But in the meantime, let's verify who you are. Let's verify your insurance. Everything needs to work simultaneously, all working together to streamline and make the process for the consumer seamless.
Right.
And if they don't want to come into the dealership, they should let them sit right where we're sitting and do the entire transaction and buy the car. Some dealers are getting savvy and they're doing it. Others are still dipping their toes in the water. The car sale world is all going to be on cell phones. It's all on social media platforms. It's all the showroom is not going away, but the showroom people don't want to go to as much. They can do more of their information and save them the hassle that they have to go through showing up in a dealership. And one of the big things that I separate, and we'll talk more about it, but there's two showrooms today. And what I mean by there's two showrooms today, we're going to go with FICO scores. FICO scores from 600 to 800. 650 and below, the consumer still needs to go into the dealership. They still need to find the correct vehicle because they're going to be challenged with financing. So they need help. They need to have a dealership that knows the different ends of the financing, special down payments, and lending. Then you have the 650 and above. They're tired of the negotiating with the customer, with the dealer. They just want a price. They just want an interest rate. They don't want to go through the haggling. So if the dealer doesn't give that to those people and they continue to use their old style methods, they're going to lose market share because everybody still wants to come to the dealership. They just don't want to go through all the aggravation of getting the information that they want. So
Right.
send an email or talk, and that's going to be the win. And we're seeing it where great men and women are creating their own social media platforms. The dealer is supporting them, and now they're creating new business streams, new revenue streams, as opposed to dealers shoveling everything through the BDC and then the BDC filtering it out to the sales force. And those silos, they don't work all that well. And but it's we are in the middle of a evolution, a revolution, whatever you want to call it. The ways that people bought cars in the past is changing as we speak every day.
Right. And for the dealers that are just dipping their toes in the water, what would you say to them to help them fully dive in, fully immerse themselves in this new technology?
It's the only way for them to be compliant. And once you go digital, it's easier to be compliant because then you can add in AI tools that do the heavy lifting that nobody wants to do, but it's always getting done. It's like Gus. It's like the rodents in the treadmill doing all the work while everyone can get back to selling. And so it's easy to digitize. The problem is they don't know who to trust anymore. And the trust factor is everybody thinks that the software isn't going to work, or the software is going to take too long to get installed, or the excuses run rampant. And the thing is that the consumer demands it. And if you don't want to handle all of your consumers, well, then don't. And then you won't do business that way. But leasing's back up on the horizon. So leasing's coming back strong. And now you have to separate yourself from the other dealer. What do
Right.
you look like? Are you welcoming? Do you make it easy? So the dealers that are watching is that we're here to help. We're not here to disrupt. We're not here to change how you do business. We have experts that understand the laws, and we're just bringing tools to let you do them easier. It's that simple. Verify your identity, verify your insurance up front. If they've got a trade, take pictures of the trade, evaluate the trade, negotiate, and put them in F&I. And then let F&I teach them how to manage their cars. You know, it's a lot of moving parts now. Cars break down. You have digital technology in the cars. You need a VSC today. I mean, anyone that wants to negotiate why you don't need a VSC is just, it's just a dumb move. The manufacturers give you a couple years of worry-free, but as soon as you're past 36 months or 36,000 miles, most of these places, it may be a powertrain, but what's failing are the computers and all the technology in the car now. And so that's a real budget saver is when you have a VSC. And
Right.
people who have had gap claims, they're very happy that they had gap. So the dealers need to embrace the technology. They need to learn how to trust and give the information to the consumer as opposed to just withholding the information until the time that they can put them at the most vulnerable time, which is right before taking delivery and forcing them into decisions that they don't want. Can't go that way anymore.
Right. Yeah. So, what would you say your biggest challenge is when you're facing trying to scale or support more dealerships? What's standing in the way for you?
Trust.
Trust.
Trust. They at some point either have lost trust and confidence in me or the vendors, or they don't want to know about it. And the thing is that if you don't have trust and everybody working in the same way, it's not an environment that you want to be in. I go back to the 70s. The 70s and the 80s, I was a young man and we were all working in the right direction. And then in F&I in the late 90s, early 2000s, we were making great progress. But I will tell you, since Y2K and 24, you might not even have been born yet. The dealers have gotten worse. They haven't gotten better. They're not welcoming environments. They're places. Some of dealers have done wonderful jobs. Unfortunately, you still got the old school mentality where you got the thugs waiting at the front door to try to rip your head off. You can't go in the showrooms and look around without getting attacked. And the consumer demand is, they're going to find places to buy their cars where they're comfortable with.
Right.
And, today's environment, we went through COVID. COVID's now, we had to live it. It's in our rear view mirror. Now, it's selling time. I mean, the tariffs, everybody is losing their minds over the tariffs. That's such a game changer that we're going to watch, that everyone's going to say Donald Trump's a genius, but it don't sell the cars that are more expensive. I mean, you've got ways. Half of the cars are getting manufactured and put together in United States anyways. Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, they have big factories. They're manufacturing in United States. And so this whole tariff thing is, yeah, we should support America. We should. Ford, I mean, GM, Chrysler has lost its identity. Chrysler, we don't even know what it is. Is it a foreign company? Are they, but
Yeah.
American made and American ingenuity needs to be front and center. And we can sell enough cars. What we've allowed is all around us. They've made cheap cars because of subsidies, and we need to do it ourselves. And they will. And Trump will support that. And you'll see more American. And I just always love the single point Ford family owned dealership.
Yeah.
That's been the backbone. Henry Ford, 100 years ago, wanted to make the cars affordable for the common man. And the Ford dealers today, that single point, you still have a family that operates these Ford stores, and they take care of the local community.
Yeah.
These big box companies that are buying up everything, they could care less about the consumer. They're not. They're looking at ROI. They're looking at revenue. They're looking at numbers. We're fortunate in Connecticut that we've worked the franchise laws and kept Tesla and kept a bunch of these other programs out of our state, where it's still 250 dealers that are still family owned and operated. And
Yeah.
we have family involved, third, fourth generation. You would hope that some of the young men and women take the lead and build their grandparents' legacy as wonderful neighborhood community people. And that's what's today. Technology, getting back into the consumer, helping the local communities, and doing it right the first time. Sounds simple, but it's complex, and that's all that we want to bring to our dealers, is help them be more successful in their operations.
Right. Yeah. I like to think of it as it's simple, but it's not easy. Right?
That's it's not easy.
No.
Anyone who says it's easy, it's a grind, because you have people that don't, some trust you, some don't trust you. So
Mhm.
and it is. And I've been in this at it for 40 years. I've had my bumps and my bruises. I've made lots of dealers a lot of money, but gave them successful operations. And then the industry has its peaks and its valleys, and sometimes I made the mistake of hitching my horse to the wrong company, and I got burned. And those are the lessons that you need to, I guess, work off and get back at it. So I've had my bumps and bruises over the last 40 years, but the future is bright for doing things correctly and being a local family or a local dealer that supports the community. And those are the dealers that I'm looking to work with. I'm looking to help them embrace the technology and utilize the programs that I put together to help them thrive in today's environment.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you do things the right way, and people just need to see that. So you're building trust is the main challenge right now because um, you need people to really trust you to kind of buy into your processes. What are you doing to help build that trust or improve that section for your?
What we've done is, this is where social media and AI, we've been making videos, we've been doing training platforms. So we want to be transparent. So everything that we have, I've built now in the last month, I think we brought a media center. So I have an IT, a guy's name's Mike Larkin. Mike's done all of my media. So now we're doing podcasts every Friday, interviewing very successful people and letting them explain their wares. So we're being transparent. We're letting the people showcase their product. Dealer wants to take a test drive. That's what we're doing with the tablets. We're going to let them use it. We're not signing up. So these are ways of how we're trying to build trust and say, utilize it, play around with the system. And then if it makes sense, then you sign up and you add it in every day. So we're able to make videos very easy to showcase all of our products. and we're posting them on all of our social media, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Google. So I have, under Global F&I Solutions, we're also hitting where we're learning about keywords and keyword searches and digital marketing. And now we know that consumers are typing in certain words every day. And one of our is we have the it's called the Big Idea Podcast, but we named it Digital Business Car. So we bought the domain Digital Business Car, and 21,000 people for some reason are typing that series of words in every day. So when people go, now that we have our podcast, people are watching our podcast, they can see activity and they can do some additional research right through there. So we have podcasts, we have emails where it's, calls to action, where you can go on our landing page, see a video. If you want to sign up, we have a link. So Maureen handles all the administrations. So all of that's on our websites, all that's on my media channels, and we're being very active that they can look at everything and they can take test drives, they can get demos. We have nothing to hide. Our pricing is transparent, and we're just looking to right dealers that want to learn how to get better.
Cool. Awesome. So one more question for you. Based on everything that you've seen and your years of experience, what's one big lesson that you've learned about running or supporting dealerships that you wish you knew sooner?
You can't tell anybody what to do. You can't tell them. You have to inspire. You have to coach. That's where when dealers are making decisions and dealers are doing things, they have to look at their people, and they have to look at, are they going to do it? Is the person in the right position? Are they going to help, or are they going to hurt? So when I'm doing a blueprint and I'm learning the different personalities, is some people are in the wrong position. And if they're in the wrong position, they're never going to do the job the way you need it to be. So there needs to be remedies. And unfortunately, for being in this car business, it's been very callous for the last 20 years, and people just get taken advantage and put in the different positions. But today, you really need to put a team together, and you need to be able to coach the people in the positions that they're playing. And here's a perfect example. We're basketball fans in Connecticut, right? We've got Gino Oriama, and we've got the UConn men's, and we've got the UConn ladies. Right. And when either of these two coaches have the right players on the team, they dominate, because they take the talents of those people and they put them in the right positions, or they work them. And we see way too often that the dealers have the wrong person running the dealership, or they have wrong people in the dealerships in high positions that aren't doing the right thing for everybody. And so that's the biggest challenge today, is making sure that everybody's oar is in the right place in the water so you can move in the right direction. And so that's where I used to just think you could tell people what to do and then you would help them if they wanted. But now it's, you have to either, they've got to want to do it or they're not. And right. So it's just making sure that you put people in the right positions, and you just can't tell people what to do. You got to help them along the way. You got to teach them. You got to coach them. And once they have confidence, well, then you got a great team player, and that's what you need. The more team players, everybody working together, that's the most successful operations that I've been involved with.
Team players. Awesome, man. Well, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but if someone like me or a dealership owner is watching, wants to learn more or get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you and get started with Global F&I?
Well, my cell is 860-707-9125. It's on everything. My name is Gary Sillman, Sillman @gmail. The business email is too long. Is gsillman@globalfandsolutions.com. But you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Facebook. LinkedIn is where I post the most. I write articles on LinkedIn all the time, so you can see what I'm talking about. If you want demos of any of these products, call to action would be go onto my website, Global Fandy Solutions, and on the bottom it would be contact, and somebody would contact them within 24 hours. Um, Typically, the best scenario is getting on a phone call first, plain old conversation, and then if they're comfortable, then it's inviting me into the dealership and meet their people, meet their operations, see what they're doing, so I understand how their operations are running, and then make suggestions based on what I see. But that would be done in a proposal. I would come in, I would interview, I'd meet some of the people, and then we'd put together a pretty straightforward, seamless selling system that includes compliance, protection, while looking to make more gross profit in the dealership. So we bring it all. We look at the whole operations, and we try to help the dealer fulfill what they're looking for. It's their business, where there's challenges are. They got challenges with leads. They've got challenges with gross and F&I. There's challenges in many different places. And I'll usually come in and recommend software that organizes everything and make sure that you have a secure system. So, but generally, Maureen Sonoto is my office manager. You can go through her. All of our contacts are all, we promote all of our partners. So you'll see who we partner with on LinkedIn. And we're just here. We're ready. It's been 5 years where a lot of the technology has been asleep because of COVID. But now that the auto industry is working its way back, the technology is just such a benefit to run dealerships. And what it does, it gives the customer confidence because they're doing it off of their cell phone. So they trust information that comes through their cell phone. And now you create better bonds. And now it's not so adversarial. It's basically they want to buy, a refrigerator. They want to buy a TV. It shouldn't be as painful as what they're made to do to just get information to buy a car. And now today, it's very easy to handle.
Great. Well, that's a wrap, Gary. Thank you again for coming on. That was super insightful. Your experience was incredible to hear about. And I can see why dealers